Mark Bittman for Edible Education 101, and I'm here with Mike Rozyne, who's the founder of Red Tomato, a regional food hub in New England. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about Red Tomato's roots, no pun intended?
Red Tomato was born inside of a fair trade employee-owned business called Equal Exchange in the mid-90s. And originally we operated inside of this coffee cooperative. We had the early morning shift, they had the daytime, and then we took it back at nighttime to receive product from growers. Over time, we discovered that what was right for us was actually to operate without bricks and mortar. So after a few years, we gave up the trucks, the warehouse, and we set out to see if we could operate the supply chain without any of that and yet maintain control, contacts with growers, customers, and operate the whole shebang. And it worked.
Maybe I need to know how it works because it sounds very mysterious. A virtual food hub.
Yes. We develop the accounts and match growers and production to, we are mostly serving retail. So we're looking for a market-driven approach and then we can develop a large base. For us, that's a 9-state region. Growers all the way from New England and then south to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York. And so really the trick is the logistics. It's tying it all together using the growers' trucks, using independent trucks and aggregation facilities when the growers can't do it themselves, and then kind of a massive 24/7 coordination into the customers.
So you're a facilitator?
You could say that.
But I mean, because you can't be an aggregator without having your hands on the stuff.
We have our hands on the stuff in service to quality control, but we're not touching and handling every order.
How have things grown over the years?
I'd say steadily, with a few bumps in the road. It's pretty much been a 10 to 15% growth rate, although we've had large upward bumps of 50% at a time. So our sales just crossed $5 million, and it took 20 years to get there.
And the size of the farms that you're representing or dealing with, whatever the right term is there?
The range is from a small farm for us is about 50 acres, but we work with farms and orchards that are 500 acres as well, so it really covers the gamut there. But these are diversified vegetable farms, so that's a pretty good sized operation when you get up to the hundreds.
Right. Yeah, I'd call those medium-sized farms. And even, I mean, 50 acres, if it's 50 acres that's planted, most people would be quite impressed with how much produce comes out of a farm that size.
Yeah.
So take me through how an order works. How do you put together a customer and a farmer?
In one of our programs, we have to, now the offer is rather steady day by day, week by week, but it's constantly changing a little. So it starts with us gathering information from the growers. We'll typically deliver 3 orders a week. So if there are 3 order cycles a week, we're going to get the right information, price it, send it to the order taker, the buyer, and ask for a order back within, let's say, half a day. And we will work on either, we actually have supply chains that turn over in 24 hours. We have some in 48 hours, and we have some in 72 hours. It's really dependent on who that customer is, how they work, and which farmers they're buying from. But let's just use 48 hours. So 2 days we will be delivering. In that 2-day slot, we have to get the grower what's been ordered. So we will take the aggregate order. Let's say there are 50 stores ordering in a program that is a direct store door program. We do it 2 ways. We service directly to warehouses, and we have a way that we also directly go to stores. So on the direct store door one, we'll aggregate, let's say, 50 orders, and then we'll divide it amongst 15 participating farmers. They have the next day to harvest, cool, do all the proper grading and packing, and then ship late that night to an aggregation site. A lot of this is happening at night. Things will be moving to the proper aggregation site, then to the place where the trucks are going to be making the individual store deliveries, and that will happen 48 hours later, mostly in the morning.
Who's the aggregation site? How's that work?
It depends on the deal. I mean, it's different. In the one I was just describing, the first, that supply chain will move product from eastern New York and central Connecticut up to western Massachusetts to a farm where everything will be coming together and then palletized according to the order. And then it will be picked up by a large truck coming from eastern New York, which will carry it into Boston to a distribution company that's a partner of ours. And they'll take it, and then we'll add in product from eastern Massachusetts. And when we have everything aggregated and broken down into the right pallets, it goes on the small trucks of that the transportation partner, and then it goes out to the 50 customers.
It's really impressive. But I mean, it sounded like you described two aggregators, and there's what must be a bigger farm that's taking deliveries from other farms.
Yes.
And then a trucking company that's going to a real aggregator or a place that is a traditional wholesaler, or more like a traditional wholesaler?
In this model, they are. Yeah. They're a traditional produce wholesaler. And their customers are mostly restaurants. So for us, it's a real change of pace for them, but it's still the same products, and it's basically the same drill.
So the difference, I mean, it's complicated. The difference between you and it's complicated, and we've had this conversation before. The difference between you and a more traditional aggregator or wholesaler is that not only you're dealing with a lot of different farms and a lot of different customers, you're dealing with a number of different middlemen as well.
In that model. Some of the things we do are simpler. For example, we may get a truckload order for apples going into one distribution facility. So we'll take that order and we'll parse it out to, let's say, 3, 4, or 5 apple orchards. And one of them will be the aggregator for that order. And the way we do that is we actually, if someone's agreed to be the aggregator, we pay them in kind by giving them first dibs at the order. So if the order is for 800 cases, we'll say, what products, what varieties, what quantities are you interested in? So they get to move the apples that they really need to move. Mm-hmm. But then 3 other growers will get the rest of the order and bring it to that grower, who will then usually refrigerate overnight. And so the grower's doing an awful lot for the team, informally, off the books. They do it for one another like that, and it saves everybody money and headaches, and there's a lot of kind of liability in that move, but they're pros. So and then that just goes straight in the next morning. And
those farmers are likely to be at least in the same region, if not the same county or whatever.
We have clusters of growers, and we try to,
So farmers, we hope, are making a living doing this. Retailers or your end users obviously are for profits, but you are not.
We're not. We're a 501c3 charitable organization. If you walked in on a busy day, we would sound like a business. But if you looked at the wide range of activities that we covered and you looked at everybody's resume, kind of what their job descriptions were, there'd be an awful lot of educational work. And we're a small shop. Because we don't have bricks and mortar, we have 9 full-time equivalents working at Red Tomato. So that was really the big gain, was not having the working capital needs of a warehouse refrigeration trucking unit, and also being able to run a small shop. And I love those working conditions. Mm-hmm. But the agenda for Red Tomato covers the business, and then there's a whole kind of educational piece. So.
Last question, really. The philosophy behind this. Is it something that you see happening elsewhere? Is it something that, I mean, you've been doing it a while. What are you thinking is really the question.
For 35 years, I've been doing something pretty darn similar. And for about 3 different organizations over the time. And I think the philosophy, I use the words today, it's like applying the Hippocratic Oath to the food business. Can we run the food business without causing harm? I used to have a much more specific definition of what not causing harm was, and it was full of all of the causes and everything. And now I kind of have mellow it out a bit, and I feel very comfortable with that philosophy.
I'll just say, it seems you're doing more than not causing harm. It seems like you're figuring out a way, quite a novel way, for small and medium-sized farms to get their product to end users that they couldn't find otherwise.
That's the purpose statement of Red Tomato, is creating opportunities for our region's growers to be the primary suppliers to a sustainable food system. And each one of those words has kind of got its own little definition.
That's a great little definition.
And that word primary is one that we work really, really hard. But the reason that I backed off to a much more general kind of statement of the philosophy is because I think that very specific, particular solutions, whether it's this certification or that certification, sometimes they get blown up into entire religions unto themselves, and I feel like there's got to be many, many, many ways for us to deliver food to people in this country without causing harm, and to do a good job for the growers, for the eaters, and for those important people in the middle.
Thanks, Mike. That's great. I'm Mark Bittman for Edible Education 101, and I've been speaking with Mike Rozyne.